Good afternoon, crypto enthusiasts. Today we are going to do something special. This is going to be the first video in our charting course. This is the parallel course that we are currently doing on the Cryptoeconomics channel, where on one part, this is the investing knowledge course. We are teaching you everything you need to know about the blockchain technology, macroeconomics, geopolitics. And on the other hand, one thing that we believe that every investor needs to have is always charting skills. So it's very important for everybody that wants to be investing by himself to be able to do charts. Why is this so important? Because at the end of the day, if you need to depend on somebody else's knowledge and analysis, usually it's not a very good outcome for anybody that is investing. For this reason, we're going to do a basic course for everybody that wants to learn more about charting. Now, what you can see over here in our screen is the TradingView platform. That's the tradingview.com, as you can see on our bar. It's quite easy to access. It's free to use at the beginner's level. And I would advise anybody who wants to try to do so because it's really basic level knowledge. You do not need any specific school. You do not need any specific diploma. At the end of the day, we're talking about a program that can really help you to understand how traders behave, why they do so, how investors behave, why they do so, by doing very simple analysis on a chart. Now, on this trading view, as you can see over here, form, or I would say a chart, it's very easy to choose what you want to analyze. On this window over here, you need to choose what price chart you want to analyze. In this particular case, we have the Bitcoin compared to the USD or the dollar price. We can do this for absolutely anything else. For example, we can compare the Ethereum price to the dollar price. So we can actually choose who is the provider of the price information. Let's say in this case, we're going to choose Binance, since we're using Binance as the main platform where we buy and sell. And obviously everything we keep later on a cold storage, on a ledger. But otherwise, just for you to understand, it's best for you to use the platform that you're currently using for trading or investing, because you will have the actual price of the platform itself. So it's going to be the easiest for you to follow it up. Let's say you want to compare, for example, or you want to see the price of gold. Just write gold, and you can see currently, for example, as per trading view, what is the current price of gold. So you can check absolutely anything from, I would say, stocks to anything else. For example, TSL, we can check the Tesla stocks with the practically US dollar, or whatever you want to prefer, you want to see, you can actually see. But we're going to keep ourselves to the standard chart that we're constantly using for this type of technical analysis. This is the charting. And we're going to use, as we mentioned, Binance. So we will do all our, I would say, analysis on the Bitcoin chart compared to the price of the US dollar. Now, the BTC USD is the symbol you want to have over here for, I would say, the charts you want to do, because Bitcoin is still the major, largest cryptocurrency, which is practically dictating the tempo of the whole crypto market. Now, today we're going to talk about levels. As you can see below my photo, you can see practically the subject of the, I would say, investing part course that we're going to working today. Now, in this case, we're going to talk about levels. How do you find the tool to make a level on a chart, and what does that mean? Now, you can see this bar over here. This is a bar that I have created myself. It's a shortcut bar that you can do as well later on by practically putting a star next to the tools you want to use more often. Now, in this particular case, we're going to use the horizontal ray. This is the tool we need to make a level. Now, what does a level mean? For example, we're just going to put, for you to see how it looks like. Now, this is the horizontal ray that we can practically change. If you double click on it in a different color, you can change in a different white, or to be a straight line, or just separate lines, etc., etc. But the idea is that the level is not just some drawing on a chart. The level is, I would say, psychological place where people usually buy and sell. Now, everything connected to charting and technical analysis is exactly that. It's finding levels that usually people sell or buy certain good, in this case, obviously Bitcoin. Now, another thing that you also need to know is here the time frame that we are actually using to analyze this chart. Over here, we can see that you have time frame from practically 1 minute, even less, up to 12 months, even more, depends if you want to do a custom time frame. Why is the time frame so important? Because the smaller the time frame, I would say the wilder would be the movement of the candles. So in this particular case, it's always best to use, again, bigger time frames because they give you, I would say, more overall and overview of the price movement of a certain good. That way, if you're an investor, you will observe the chart on a more large scale model and you will be able to do better decisions, I would say, if you're an investor, because that's where you can actually see where you are in a full cycle, for example, of Bitcoin, as you can see over here. Now, also very important, you need to know how to read the candles themselves. What is a candle? First of all, we will zoom in a little bit for you to understand. The candle is the price movement in a price range. On the right side, you can see the dollar value of Bitcoin, and on the bottom, you can see the dates on which currently the price is trending. Now, since we have put weekly level, it means that one candle is represented with 7 days, 1 week time frame, time period. Now, if we put, for example, a day as a time frame, we can see that every day has its own candle, which means that we have changed right now to see the Bitcoin price in a time frame of 1 day. So every candle represents 1 day of the price movement of Bitcoin. Another very important thing we need to understand, we can see that the candles have a body and they have shadows. Now, why is this so important? The bottom part, or in this case, practically the top part of the candle, since it's red, uh, as well. Yellow and red, again, you can change the colors whatever you prefer. I use yellow and red to be a little bit more different than the usual charts that you see on any other course. Now, why in this particular case there is two different colors? Very important. The yellow candle means that for that particular time frame on a daily basis, the price has ended practically in a positive manner because it has started from the bottom of the candle. Once we change, for example, in this particular case, from the 13th to the 14th of May, and it ended in this case on the same day, as you can see, quite higher as per the price movement. So it started on $79,382 per Bitcoin, and it ended on $81,209 before moving to the other candle. And obviously, this is a red candle, which means at the end of the day, on the 15th of May, the price started moving from 81,241 and ended on 79,125. So the color of the candle is determined by what was happening during the price movement. If the end of the time frame in this particular day, in this particular practically case is a day, was positive at the end of the trading, it means it's going to be yellow, and the other way around is going to be red. The shadows are the price movement. So during the day, the price movement moved from practically the top of the shadow, as we can see over here, 81,979 down to 78,965. So during the day, we're going to go to a smaller time frame, like for example 1 minute, so you can see how it actually works. Now, if we go to 1 minute chart, we can see that the price movement is going to be a lot more, I would say, vibrant. It's going to move a lot more. It's going to perform a lot, I would say, different than time frame, obviously, or a day, week, month, and so on. So what I'm trying to explain to you is even further. We can go a little bit less, so you can see a little bit more how it actually functions regarding the movement of the candle itself. What I'm trying to show you is that during one candle, 5 seconds, we will have practically movements up and down, as you can see over here, which are a lot more, I would say, dynamic, so you can see how it actually functions in real life trading. Candles are a bit small. We should better go to a bit higher time frame, I would say like 15 minutes. So as you can see over here in this particular time frame of 15 minutes, as we mentioned, we have practically candles that have shadows, which are representing how further down or up the price have been moving for the duration of the candle itself. And then when it finishes, practically, as we said, there is two, I would say, borders on the candle itself, which are actually representing, as we managed, where the price started and where it ended. Depending on the color, it can be positive or negative candle. Now we should go back again. Trust me, you will try this if you started with charting. Definitely, you will learn all this firsthand by personal experience. Now, this is how the candles work. So once we have explained the candles and how they actually function, now we want to explain to you what is the meaning of a level. When we do analysis, we always start from the largest time frame. On our channel, the largest time frame that we usually follow is the monthly time frame of a chart. So the monthly time frame of the Bitcoin chart gives us practically overall a very, I would say, a very general overlook of how the price have been performing so far. As we can see, uh, depending on that, we need to determine where was the best place practically to buy or sell Bitcoin. Now, we're going to change this to an algorithmic show so we can actually explain it a little bit better. Algorithmically, practically, it shows the whole chart depending on how it rises on an algorithmic level, so it's better represented. Let's put it this way. Now, what we're going to do now, we're going to determine levels. We're going to see where were practically more or less the best levels to actually buy Bitcoin, depending on where people previously bought and sold. How do we do levels? As we mentioned over here, you can find the symbol is the horizontal ray. You can make it as a bookmark, so it's going to appear on this fast, I would say, lane, and you can use it a lot quicker. So if we practically put a level on the top of the previous bull market and the ending of it in 2017, we can see that this level is also supported, or I would say it was very important during the 2022 bear market. What does it show? It shows that a lot of people decided to start buying once the price went back to the previous all-time high of 2017. So this particular level shows us that psychologically, people that have actually waited for the bear market to finish started accumulating again on the same level of the previous all-time high of 2017. As you can see, there is no magic in it. It's just psychology, and you need to learn how to use it in your practical benefit. Now, what do we do depending on levels? We usually use the body of the candle because it shows us a little bit better, I would say, support and I would say resistance. Now, just to show this in a better way, we're going to go back to a normal scale. Now, this is practically the representation of the chart of Bitcoin during 2017, during the 2020 bull market. What we can see that once we have made this monthly level on the chart, on the candle that started the movement down, you always put the level on the candle that started a movement in the opposite direction. So since this was the bull market, this is the first candle that starts the bear market for Bitcoin in the 2017-2018 bear market. Now, what we can see over here, we can see that we're very close to the unsuccessful start of the bull market in 2019 because of the COVID pandemic. And then we can see that the same level have been practically the border between the start of this monthly candle, the end of this monthly candle, and the start of the next one. Also, we can see that the bottom of the previous bear market in 2022 was very close to the same level. Now, this is the monthly level. We're going to determine several monthly levels just for you to see how it functions, and we can go from that point onwards. As we can see, unfortunately, not all the levels will be respected. Over here, we didn't have return to, but we can see that after this correction in 2014 and 15, it took 3 full candles to be able to break the previous all-time high from 2013 and for the price to continue going onwards. Now, why is this so important? Because it means that whoever was practically buying at this point, when the price came back to the same level that they bought, and unfortunately they had to wait for 2-3 years for the price to come back, they were selling to get out of the market without a loss. Again, psychology. So All these levels are actually showing us psychology of a chart where people are more likely to buy and sell. And we can see that this will be represented for bottoms and tops. As we can see, practically previously, every start of a bear trend is later on one or the other way, I would say, still very, very useful. Now, if we continue onwards, we can find a lot of these levels. And again, as we mentioned, we always represent the levels on the start of a bull trend and on the start of a bear trend. That way, we have a better understanding of the chart itself and what we expect in the future. Now, sometimes we are going to have similar levels like this, where they are already represented. So as you can see, over here, there is no need of a level to be implemented because we can see that the same level is already represented from a previous candle. The previous candle are always more important than the next ones because they already have implemented some kind of a price movement, some buying or selling. In this particular case, what we can see, that the start of a bear trend has been respected one more time when the price came back to the level of around 60,000. Although we did have a small up bounce above the level, it still came down more or less on the same time frame, on the same level, but we're going to show it on a different time frame, and you're going to see that the importance of these levels is not only on the time frame that you put them, but also on the lower time frames as well. Now, what else you can see? That when the price came back to the same level, we had a very large reaccumulation before continuing up on the same level. Why? Because we had a lot of sellers. These are the people that bought during the bull market of 2021, and they were getting out to the market because they wanted to get even, unfortunately, around 2024 when the price came to those two previous levels. And we can see currently the last correction came again where? To the same level. Now, another thing that you need to also note is that you can actually put as a template the levels that you're using, in this particular case, the monthly levels. What you need to do is just go double click on the line, use a template, save as, and put particular color. And for example, all the future levels that you will be using will be with the same color. Now, in this particular case, we put pink, doesn't have to be, it's all up to you to decide. Now, if we go down to a lower time frame, now we have determined, for example, the basic levels of a monthly time frame. We're going to go down now to a weekly time frame. There's the second time frame that we pay extremely, I would say, attention to. Now, what we can see, the monthly level that we have placed on the top of the 2021 60,000 Bitcoin price is currently very well respected. Why am I saying this? Remember that we mentioned on the bigger time frame, we had a bounce above the level and then the price went down. But what we can see that once the price managed to go above this level, it came back, respected the same level, tried to break through several times, but unfortunately didn't manage to because there was a lot of selling, and it went back again. Two times retested the line before going down. So this level obviously is very well respected. And again, always the levels on a higher time frame are more important and more respected than the levels on the lower time frames. Always keep that in mind. Same situation here. We can see that most of these candles actually were ending exactly on the level, believe it or not. Now, don't take the levels as the only thing that you need to see in a chart. Obviously, this is just one out of many indicators, many information that we're going to go through, but they're very important. Now, what we can do next? As we mentioned, now on a weekly level, we need to have different type of levels. Now, these will be weekly levels. Again, we're going to put, where did we say? From the beginning of the bear trend, and we can determine in this case that this is a weekly level, so it cannot be the same color. What we are going to do, we're going to double click, and as per the template, since I already have done my own, I'm going to make it a weekly level. Now, unfortunately for me, the weekly level is actually pink one. The monthly levels that I was using are white, but still, you are going to decide what's the best for you. Same situation goes here. Although this is a weaker level, we can still see it was very well respected in the trading in this region. What we can see that most of these candles were finishing exactly on top of this level, and we can see that if the price fell below the level, it was retesting the same level before going up, retesting before going down, And we can see that it was very well respected as well. But again, the more important level, again, remains to be the monthly level. If we go forward, voila, same situation. As we can see, the weekly level that we determined in 2021 came to be very important in 2026. Again, what is the power behind the levels? The psychology. There are millions of people seeing this level from the previous all-time high of 2021 and expecting that a lot of people will be buying when the price returns to the same level. And what happened? Exactly that. We can see that literally every candle from 2026 February to March, the end of March 2026, every candle finished exactly on the same level. That shows us that the levels are very well respected when it comes to psychology of traders. Now we can go to the lowest time frame. We can see that the rules are still the same. Let's say we go now to a daily. We can see that on the daily as well, these monthly and weekly levels are still very well respected. Now we can find levels on the lowest of trends. We can go even further. Let's say now we're going to go to 1 hour trends. We can see that the levels are still very well respected. We're going to go to a nice price range like this, where we have, I would say, several hundreds of candles to play with. And we're going to use the level again. What did we say? We're going to put on the top of a movement that started going backwards, and we're going to put on the lowest part of the movement that started going upwards. These are the bullish and bearish trend. Now in this case, this is the bullish trend, this is the bearish trend. What can we see? We can see that the price went again downwards, retested the same level, went down again. But again, it definitely respected the level. When it went upwards, what did we see? Look, it retested several times the same level before continuing upwards. When it came down again, retested the same level. And what did it determine? We determined that the previous candles are the ones that are setting the tempo, or the place where we can have most probability that there will be a correction. Same again. Reaccumulation happening exactly where? On the previous level determined here. And if we go down, same situation. Start of a bull trend. What happened when the price went backwards to this level? It exactly bounced off the level before trying to go down. But again, don't forget, this is a hourly level. So the hourly levels will be a lot less valuable. And we have to mention again, never forget to mark your levels properly. In this particular case, let's say we're going to make it yellow, and we're going to save it as a hourly level, which we're going to do as save as. We put hourly level and we save it. So practically every time we'll do an hourly level, we put a particular color to it, because believe it or not, when we come to the point to use these levels on a extensive charts, and they are there, believe it or not, sometimes even for years, it's going to be very important for you to know how is the level made, on which time frame, and in this particular case, it will show you how important this level will be. Now, this is more or less everything we had for today. I hope that you enjoyed, and join us for the next video, where we're going to continue with the basics of this very important knowledge for everybody that wants to invest by themselves. As I said, that would be the second course for accumulation and distribution phases of a chart. Again, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our work in Cryptoeconomics on YouTube, as well on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads account. Follow us for more educational courses, and see you in the next video. Have a good day from the warm Malta.